the album was already finished about 2 years before it was released. So were there expectations? Did you have expectations on what the band would do?
I mean, that was a really hard waiting period because we did a Kickstarter campaign and raised some money, but then there was also other money that needed to be paid, and we had to figure out like if we were going to go with a record label, if we were going to go like try to do it on our own, what was touring like. I had never toured before. I'd only played, I mean, I toured a little bit, but like my main thing was just New York City. So there was just a learning curve there, and then there was other hard parts of it where like Kanene, for instance, like couldn't really climb the ladder in her career that she would have, because there was always this like lingering possibility that she would just have to quit her job and we go out on the road. So the tension of that was palpable. I mean, it was tough.
But so Kanene, this decision, you had made this decision for yourself that if it would take off, that you would go for it.
Yeah, both my husband and I decided pretty early on. I think we had been in New York for about a year, and right after we made the record, we knew in order to be available for gigs or practices or just to be part of the band, we would have to just make some sacrifices and focus on it, and basically just work jobs that would help us pay the bills in the interim. So, I mean, Brian too. Brian and I used to, we both worked really early, and I would bike to work, and he would be outside of his cafe, and we would just like kind of sadly wave at each other, like one day.
But we as a group, but we as a group like really wanted to put a great team together, a patchwork of people, because we didn't have a big record label or anything. Even now we don't, but we wanted to like patchwork this group of people together that wanted to champion us and believe in the music as much as we did. So to do that on our own took time, and I'm so thankful we did that, because you know, we got to live in that space and that tension, and then all of a sudden our song's on the radio and we're there, and we're playing shows everywhere, and we've been on the road ever since. So the process of sitting and waiting was, I think, a very good, like to be in that tension and be content in it. Was good, because we were going to start a whole new life, you know, right after, you know, so.
And then, I don't know, Brian, how much you have toured, but Zach, you said you weren't really experienced tours, so was it as you expected, and also for you, was it as you expected it to be?
The first 6 months of just the like incredible excitement of like seeing new cities and showing up at places and like people you've never met singing your songs, like that was insane. I remember the first time we played Boston, and the record had been out, gosh, a week, I mean not long, a couple weeks, and the whole crowd knew one of our songs like the whole way through, and it was nothing like that had happened outside of New York City, and it was just beautiful. And I think I mean, we're in Amsterdam right now, and like, I've never met the people that are going to be in this room tonight, and the give and take of that is just such a miracle to me, that music can just like bring people's ideas and hearts and minds together, and on tour we show up and all these things happen in this one night, and then we get to meet them afterwards, and that was the part that I didn't expect so much to feel so heavily. So.
And am I right in saying that the songs, or most of the songs that ended up on Then Came the Morning, were written on tour?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We wrote like 30 songs on tour and had to narrow it down to 18, and recorded 18, then had to narrow that down to the 12.
Our last like true European tour, we had one of the sprinters with the table in the middle, just so we could like write, because we couldn't really go home and take the time to do it. We had to do it there, so
We had to write on the radio.
we had to, yeah.
What did you base the selection on then? You had about 30 songs. How did it all fit together?
I think we had a bunch of songs, but I think the ones that were closest to our hearts and the truest stories kind of came to the surface. I think that's for me.
Yeah.
Like that, you know.
Yeah, you think about what you want to sing every night.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another thing about touring. You
Yeah.
know. You're gonna sing these songs every night, so you better believe in every single one of them. You know.
Well, that's because you mentioned the word true, that these songs had to be the truest. And then I came across something, that maybe it was an interview, where you said that you had tried to write some songs that weren't specifically about you or about your own experiences, and then figured out that that wasn't really the way to go.
Yeah, I remember that interview. Yeah, there's some songs where we just wrote them. It was just like kind of a release. It was just like there's this one called Honeysuckle that was just like this country song, murder ballad. That was kind of like an old possum.
George Jones.
An old George Jones, like George Jones had that a few times where he had these murder ballads that were in these like, just like really good melody country songs. And you listen to the words, you're like, what? So we wrote one of those and we played it a few times and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't like, it just didn't make the cut, you know? And I think that being prolific is the most important part. Just like staying in that headspace of writing and creating, and then like it'll boil to the surface what will be put on the record.
Is that a tough thing to do while on tour? To stay in that headspace?
Yeah, I'd say for sure.
You fight for it a little bit, yeah.
And well, you obviously started writing because of the first journaling about what was going on with you in your life and your wife. Was it the same for you when you write songs now? Is it very autobiographical?
I think a lot of times for me, I write a lot differently, but like, it's always like I'm processing, and then I look back 6 months later, and I'm like, wow, that's what I was. That was coming to the surface while I was writing it. A lot of times, that's kind of where it comes from me.
Yeah, you at least want it to be informed by your experience. Maybe not
Yeah.
super literal, but have like shades of what you've really been through. And so you're not just writing about something you don't know. But
In that sense, what was the toughest song on the record to complete?
There's a song called Marietta that's just comes from a really, really dark part of life. It was hard to complete that song.
Can you share any, or are you willing to share it?
No. But it's a beautiful song, and I love singing it. I mean, it was even at the place where Aaron Desner, the producer, I had a talk with him about what the song was about, and we recorded it and it ended up on the record, and then like 6 months later, he was like, I was really questioning whether that song should be on the record or not because it was so dark that I was like worried about you singing it every night. So that was a hard one.
Was that a concern for you as well? Because do you relive kind of the emotions that go with the song?
You do, but I think one of the beautiful things about songwriting or writing in general or like painting or whatever is it's a cathartic thing, especially when you sing it with your close friends. And then when the song becomes someone else's song, and maybe they don't know exactly where it came from, and they tell you what it means to them, it's like, okay, this song now has taken a different life form, and I can keep singing it every night and know that like it's just a part of some other beautiful thing happening.
So that's kind of the payoff then for having gone through the writing process.
Sure.
finally, you alluded to writing for the third album. How far along are you?
I mean, songwriting wise, like we write all the time. So yeah, we're just writing a lot. We're rehearsing the new stuff. We've tried one of the brand new songs out a couple times. So we're pretty far along, I guess. Maybe like halfway there.
Have you noticed certain elements where the music is going into, certain characteristics or maybe a direction?
I've noticed that.
I don't know. You go ahead.
I've noticed that I think for this third record that like melody wise, I think everybody wants to write choruses and melodies that like sound wonderful when the three of us are singing them together. Whereas like Then Came the Morning is a really fun song, but it's not a 3-part harmony song like it really could have been. But I mean, I love it, but it's like, so the third record, I think that we want to like lean into that more. And then, like I know, just like more space sonically. I don't know.
I don't think we'll know anything until we start recording it.
Yeah.
But we are writing some good songs, and that's a very good place to be in.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.